one of the bigger aspects of that side of being willing to try new things and experiment sort of came down to this realization I had. I don't even remember when I had this. Like there was no light bulb moment where one day it suddenly hit me. But I've realized through this process and this journey that you are not successful until you are. And that sounds very basic, and yet it's also very insightful. Nobody is ever a success until they are. An author is never an author until they write a book. A singer is never a singer until they sing a song, right? You are not a podcaster until you started putting out podcasts and then you became that. I was not a hypnotist until I started doing hypnosis and I became that. And I think a lot of us look at the people we look up to as these people who are larger than life, right? The celebrity, these movie stars, these pop stars, even these people who have big podcasters, right? Like you might look up to someone like a Joe Rogan or someone with this massive platform and be like, oh, I would love to do that. Oh, but I could never achieve that level of success, right? Joe is just this crazy person who's done these crazy, awesome things and has all this success. But that's not the case. Joe was never a podcaster until he started doing podcasts. Tony Robbins was never a speaker until he started speaking and putting himself out there in that way. Any movie star you want to think of was never that until they became that. Someone like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, one of the biggest movie stars on the planet. He was a wrestler. He was never an actor at first. And of course, in WWE, there's that. Oh, sure, there's a little bit of acting in there, and but he was never a movie star until he started doing movies, right? And so I think there's this element that's true in whatever we want to do, that we stop ourselves from getting into something because we're not at that level that we will never be at until we actually get into it. If I had sort of let myself become limited by, oh, well, I'm not a hypnotist, I can't do these crazy shows and do all these awesome things that other hypnotists do, and that stopped me from doing it, that's the case for most people. But instead of looking at it from that perspective of, oh, well, I could never do that, I had to look at it from the perspective of, oh, well, what can I do now? Or what can I do today? And I don't have to be at that level yet, but I will never be at that level if I don't allow myself to be at the level I'm at now and learn from that current experience in order to build up to that level that I want to be at someday. Over the course of the pandemic, beginning of 2020, when the world shut down and I couldn't do shows, I couldn't perform, right? Live performing is a huge part of what I do, and I couldn't do that at all. And I was just kind of sitting around in my room, twiddling my thumbs, still doing social media and posting videos, but I was like, oh, I can't go out and perform and do what I love. Now what? I had all of this extra time, as I'm sure most of us did when we were out of work or not able to go out and socialize. I decided to pick up another endeavor where I decided to start learning how to sing. And I had never taken so much as a music class. I could not sing to save my life. I always loved doing karaoke, but that's part of the fun of karaoke is you don't care that you're terrible. You just sing your heart out until your throat bleeds, right? Not actually, but always just loved singing even though I couldn't sing at all. But I sort of just went into this endeavor with the same approach that I've had with hypnosis, with magic, with all of these other things that I've learned of, what? I am the world's worst singer right now. But if I actually commit to this and I actually practice every day, how good could I get? And so I started this journey of deciding I'm gonna sing for an hour a day every day and just see how far I can take this. So I just started doing 30 minutes of vocal warm-ups and exercises, and then 30 minutes of singing along to literally just karaoke tracks on YouTube, just singing along by myself in my room, hoping my neighbors don't hear how terrible I'm screeching, right? And so I just started singing for an hour a day every single day, and I was very, very bad when I started. A few months later, still very, very bad. A few months later, still very, very bad. And after about 6 months or so, I thought, you know what? I want to start putting out my progress so that people can see my journey of as I'm learning this and doing this. So I started uploading these monthly singing covers, if you can even call them covers, because they were off key and flat and not even singing with the track and not rhythm and not hitting the notes well. But I was just doing my best. And I've been uploading these singing covers every month for over 2 years now. I'm at the point where by the end of this month, I will have hit 1,000 days of singing for an hour a day every single day, which is wild to think about. Over 2.5 years of doing it. I started taking singing lessons last year. I've been doing weekly lessons for over a year now, which has been really instrumental and really helpful as well. But now I'm at the point where I can actually sing, and I can sing very well. And I certainly have a lot of progress to still make. Like I wouldn't consider myself a professional singer by any means yet. But I can sing and it can sound good, and I can sing on key, and I can actually hit the right notes, and I can hit some notes that I never thought I would be able to hit, right? But it was through this journey of being willing to start. And if I had had this mindset going into it of, oh, well, I suck at singing now and I'm terrible, why should I start trying to sing? I can't do this. That would have limited me to continue to live in that reality of not being able to learn how to sing. But instead of focusing on where I was not, I focused on where I wanted to be instead. And I set this intention, which has sort of been the theme of a lot of this conversation, right? This intention of, I want to be able to do this someday. But it doesn't matter that I can't do this now. I'm not going to let what I can't do today prevent me from what I could do tomorrow if I am willing to try. And so I started this journey, and again, almost 1,000 days later, I have come such a long way. And if you want to hear it for yourself, I have these singing progress videos on my YouTube channel, so you can look them up and you can watch the first couple and see how terrible I actually was to how much further I've come now through this process. So it's been a fun ride, but that's just been kind of the theme of these things that I've started up, whether it's the recent thing with singing or whether it's learning hypnosis or whatever it was through the course of my career. I would go into these experiences and these new things that I didn't have experience in, or the experience I did have was very lacking or limited. But instead of focusing on what I didn't have or where I wasn't at, I gave myself permission to be bad. I gave myself permission to fail. I gave myself permission to suck. And I said, I'm going to embrace the suck, and we are going to transform that suck into success, right? And so here we are, and it's been a fun ride, but it's been that fun journey and that mindset and that intentionality of, doesn't matter where you are today, focus on where you want to be instead of where you are now, because no one is ever successful until they are.
Hey Seekers, if you enjoyed watching that short clip, I strongly recommend clicking here for the full-length episode. Here's to discovering more valuable life stories with practical mental health insights. Thank you for watching, and until next time, peace